I award you a bonus point for the alliteration of your title, Mountaintop Motel Massacre. But that's it. Deep in the mountains of, Louisiana lies the Mountaintop Motel. Now, I've lived in Louisiana and I don't recall any mountains, but Google says there are a couple, ones which other states would consider hills. We're told that this motel is run by a woman who spent some time in an asylum. That's fun. And then it starts with her hacking a guinea pig to death for daring to be in her presence. Whee! When she goes inside, she hacks up some more animals, and also her daughter, who was attempting some kind of spooky ritual / tea party? How delightful.
Show me a sign. I told you never to do.
The sheriff asks how it happened, and she tells him it must have been some kind of freak accident. For some reason, he's all, yeah, that checks out, I'll come back later and maybe we'll talk about it some more, or maybe not. And he leaves. People begin to arrive at the motel for overnight stays and to escape an impending storm.
This is it?
What the hell did you expect? A Holiday Inn? You know I can't afford that.
Boy, aim high, newlyweds.
I'm so horny, I can't stand it.
Ah, words every woman loves to hear. As the cabins fill up, the crazy lady uses secret underground tunnels to murder her guests. She loads one room up with deadly snakes, another with rats, sends roaches into yet another room, until finally she just starts popping up through trapdoors and slashing the guests herself. Mountaintop Motel Massacre is basically Psycho, but if there was no Norman Bates character and it was just Mrs. Bates murdering all the guests. It's also bad. The performances are all one note and amateurish, and there's no real story to speak of. Even for a slasher film, it's lacking in the slightest bit of substance. Make me care about literally anything that's happening, that's all I ask. What's this woman's deal? Why was she committed? Why was she released? What set her off? Give me something, anything. I can't imagine the events of this movie were set into motion because of a guinea pig. The movie is yet another case of something that was filmed a few years before it actually got released, and didn't get an actual wide release until 3 years later, when New World Pictures picked it up. I have no idea what they saw in it.
We ought to call this a roach motel.
My interest in watching Drive-In Massacre came about solely because I needed a movie to pair with Mountaintop Motel Massacre. And for the first 5 minutes or so, I figured that was going to be a mistake, but then the first part of the massacring happened, and whoo boy!
I want to kill you.
So yeah, someone is killing the customers at a local drive-in theater. The manager's a low-rent Bond villain, and the drive-in used to be a carnival where both said manager and the caretaker used to work as sword swallowers, or in other various sword-related professions. So, you know, suspects. The case is being investigated by two people I'll never be able to tell apart. I mean, seriously, this is the same guy. The special effects budget for this movie must have been insane. I'm very impressed. Drive-In Massacre follows a very simple template. A scene of hardcore violence at the drive-in, a lengthy scene of police investigation that must have made anyone feel like they could have been a detective, and then repeat. And holy god, the investigation scenes go on forever! Although I suppose if I wanted to show off my puffy guy clone special effects, I'd focus on that too. The soundtrack sounds like there's an error with the print.
You know what that is, Engelson?
Just gonna leave that flubbed line in there, huh? Okay. By the time 6 people have been massacred at the drive-in, you might wonder, why isn't anyone closing down the drive-in? Wouldn't that save lives at this point? Well, don't worry about that. Just shh. The thing you need to know about Drive-In Massacre is that the script was written in a week, and then it was shot in 4 days, and its total cost was $30,000. I suppose on one hand that's impressive, and while it does seem efficient at only 74 minutes, that includes a whole new sequence added near the end, featuring screenwriter and Back to the Future bum George Buck Flowers, that ultimately never has anything to do with anything. I guess that fits in with most of the scenes, actually. And the movie makes the bold choice of not even resolving its own story. The killer's identity is never revealed, but an announcer lets the drive-in audience that's watching the film know that they are to remain calm because there's now a murderer at their theater.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the manager. Do not panic. There is a
On one hand, it's kind of fun considering the audience for which it was made. On the other hand, man, fuck off.
What a turkey.